The knowledge is already inside you. You understand more than you think. The problem, ISN, that you can to read people, it is that you haven't learned to see the signs yet. Everyone drops hints about who they really are. Friedrich Nietzsche discovered 6 fundamental truths that will show you how to spot these hints and understand what they mean. This is the one skill nobody teaches you in school, but once you learn it, you can go back to being blind to it. From childhood, society teaches you to believe what people tell you. But Nietzsche gave us a crucial warning. Don't let words fool you. People don't speak to tell the truth. They speak to survive, protect their ego, and avoid their fears. The outer layer of someone's personality, ISN, to who they really are, it's like armor to protect themselves. The person who acts super nice all the time might not actually be nice at all. They might be terrified that people will reject them. The person who seems tough and strong might be falling apart inside, hoping nobody notices how weak they feel. Here is what makes humans tricky to figure out. They don't even realize they putting on an act. Most people are like actors in a play, but they never got to read the script. Their smiles, opinions, and the way they talk, all of this gets shaped by whatever helped them feel safe growing up. This is why most people aren't really hiding from you. They hiding from themselves. People accidentally reveal the truth constantly, not through their words, but through the cracks in their performance. The moments when they look away, laugh too hard for too long, or quickly switch topics when things get too personal. Truth number 1. Everyone wears a mask to survive this ISN, because they fake people, but because they frighten people. To make it through society without getting hurt, people create a version of themselves they hope others will accept. But masks aren't perfect. They slip and slide. The first sign you seeing the real person is when you notice tension. Pay attention to what makes someone uncomfortable. That uncomfortable feeling is where their true self starts to show. Truth number 2. What someone hates in others shows what they hiding in themselves. This is one of Nietzsche's most brilliant observations. When someone constantly makes fun of arrogant people, they usually worried about their own self-worth. When someone can stop pointing out how dishonest others are, they usually hiding some truth they haven't faced about themselves. We hate in other people what we afraid to admit about ourselves. So when you want to understand someone, just look at what they admire. Look at what they criticize and complain about. Truth number 3. Silence tells you more than words. When someone takes a long pause before they answer, when they avoid certain topics, when they give you short, practiced answers to deep questions, that silence is screaming louder than any words could. A person who avoids showing vulnerability is telling you everything about what scares them most. Truth number 4. Too much virtue is often hidden vanity. Be careful around the person who loudly announces how pure and good they are. The one who is always correcting other people, always preaching about right and wrong. Sometimes acting moral becomes a mask for feeling superior to others. The louder someone signals their virtue, the more likely they hiding something behind it. Real goodness doesn't need a standing ovation. Truth number 5. People don't lie to you first. They lie to themselves. The lies you hear from people, I'm fine, I'm over it, I don't care. These aren't lies meant to hurt you. These are lies they've practiced so many times that they actually believe them now. So when someone's story doesn't quite make sense, don't assume they trying to trick you. Realize they've been tricking themselves for much longer. The inconsistencies in their story reveal the truth. Truth number 6. Where someone feels superior, they hiding feelings of inferiority. If someone constantly reminds you of their accomplishments, they probably fear they not good enough. If someone puts other people down casually, they probably terrified of being overlooked or ignored. Real confidence doesn't need to compete with anyone. It just exists. So if someone needs to dominate, control, or prove themselves constantly, look deeper. Behind the throne, you often find a scared child wearing a crown. Reading people isn't about judging them harshly. It is about understanding what drives them at their core. When someone interrupts constantly, it is not always because they arrogant. It might be because they fear being forgotten. When someone posts obsessively about how happy they are, it might be a cry for help. When someone avoids eye contact while saying, I'm fine, Listen to their body language, not their words. Use these truths not to gain power over people, but to extend compassion toward them. Because the more clearly you can see someone, the less likely you are to hate them. That, as Nietzsche, is secret. He didn't want you to see through other people so you could control them. He wanted you to see through them so you could stop being fooled and start truly connecting with them. It is one thing to notice that someone is wearing a mask. It's completely different to watch that mask start to crack and fall apart. These moments aren't the accidents or mistakes. They read clues. People aren't actually hard to read. They were just scared to be seen for who they really are. Truth number 7. Fear drives most human actions here. That's a question you should ask yourself. Why does someone give you way more explanation than you need? Why do they take over every conversation or completely disappear from it? Why do they say yes when you can clearly see they mean no? The answer is fear. Fear of being abandoned, fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment, fear of failure. Nietzsche understood that humans almost never act because they truly want something. They act because they have a deep fear of losing something, losing their status, losing love, losing their sense of self-worth. So when you want to understand someone, stop paying attention to what they claim they want. Instead, ask yourself, what are they scared of losing? That's where you'll find the real truth about them. Truth number 8. Too much criticism is really projection. The next time someone constantly finds fault with other people, pay close attention to what they re-saying. When someone criticizes too much, they really showing you a reflection of themselves. Think about it this way. The man who makes fun of emotional people might be scared to death of his own feelings. The woman who puts others down for how they look might be fighting a secret battle with her own reflection in the mirror. When we judge others, it's almost never really about the other person. It is about ourselves. So when you hear someone making the same criticisms over and over again, don't get distracted by who they retargeting. Instead, trace that criticism back to the person saying it. What part of themselves are they trying to reject or deny? Projection ISN, just a way to defend yourself. It is actually a confession. If you listen the right way, it tells you exactly where this pain is hiding. Truth number 9. Guilt often hides behind fake confidence there. That's a type of person you've probably encountered before. The one who seems way too sure of themselves, always in control, always perfectly composed. But if you watch them long enough, you'll start to notice the tension in their jaw, the way they prepare for everything way too much, how defensive they get when they under pressure. Guilt likes to hide behind false confidence. When someone is constantly confident about everything, look for the guilt they trying to bury. Maybe it is something they regret doing. Maybe it is a version of themselves they trying to prove wrong. Real inner peace doesn't need to put on a show. So when someone seems too confident, don't let them intimidate you. Be curious instead. What are they really trying to hide? Truth number 10. People give themselves away through exaggeration. This one is subtle but incredibly powerful. And once you start seeing it, you want to be able to stop noticing it everywhere. People betray their true feelings through exaggeration. Someone who constantly says, I don't care what anyone thinks, probably cares very deeply. Someone who claims, I'm always happy, probably isn't happy at all. Exaggeration is like a tell in poker. It's the ego trying to drown out doubt and uncertainty. So when someone's statements sound too absolute, too black and white, don't believe the actual content of what they saying. Read the insecurity that is underneath it. Exaggeration is just volume. The question you need to ask is, what are they trying to silence? Truth number 11. The need to control everything shows inner chaos control. We all want it somewhere in our lives, in our jobs, our relationships, our daily routines. But some people crave control to the point where it becomes an obsession. And that is a major sign of what is happening inside them. Those who desperately seek control are often afraid of their own inner chaos. When someone's inner world is completely disordered, they have to manage their outer world obsessively to feel okay. If someone micromanages every tiny detail, if they can to handle any kind of change, if they dominate other people to feel powerful, it is not because they actually strong. It is because something inside them feels completely out of control. So instead of being afraid of the controlling person, see them for what they really are. Someone who is terrified that the moment they let go, everything will fall apart. The stricter their outer shell appears, the more fragile their inner self actually is. Truth number 12. The biggest performances cover up the biggest emptiness. This is one of Nietzsche's most haunting insights. And it applies more to our world today than ever before. The louder the performance, the emptier the core. Just look at social media. The endless, look at me, energy. The perfect poses, the constant updates, the carefully crafted identity that someone shows the world. When someone is constantly performing for an audience, it is because they don't believe they'll be seen or loved without putting on that show. So they create noise, color, and drama to get attention. But the person who truly knows themselves doesn't need to be watched all the time. They are already complete inside. They need external validation to feel whole. So when someone's life looks like a constant performance, remember this. It is not a show of power or confidence. It is actually a whisper of need and emptiness. Using this knowledge responsibly, once you learn to see people clearly, you can go back to being blind to it. And you'll begin to understand that most people are suffering quietly behind their polished smiles and perfect facades. Reading them accurately is not about gaining leverage over them or using this knowledge to manipulate them. It is about offering grace and understanding. When you can see through someone's mask to their real fears and pain, you become capable of genuine compassion instead of surface-level judgment. The criticism that flows from someone's mouth is really a mirror showing you their own struggles. The confidence that seems too perfect is often covering up guilt and shame. The exaggeration that sounds so absolute is usually trying to silence inner doubt. The desperate need for control is typically hiding inner chaos. And the loudest performances are usually covering up the deepest emptiness. This is the power of Nietzsche's psychological insights. They don't just help you understand other people better. They help you understand the human condition itself. Everyone is fighting battles you can see, wearing masks to protect themselves from a world that can be harsh and unforgiving. When you develop this ability to see through the masks, you gain something far more valuable than the power to manipulate or control others. You gain the ability to connect with people on a deeper level, to offer them the understanding and compassion they desperately need, even when they can't ask for it directly. This is what separates true emotional intelligence from simple manipulation. It's the difference between using your insights to help people and using them to hurt people. The goal was never to tear down other people's masks just to expose them. The goal was to see through the masks so you could understand the real person underneath and respond with wisdom and kindness. When you see the child behind the critic, the fear behind the bully, the guilt behind the arrogance, you don't become weaker. You become unshakable. By now, something inside you has shifted. You don't just see people anymore. You read them not as villains or victims, but as humans trying to survive with masks they didn't choose. But we're not finished, because behind every behavior is a belief, and behind every belief is a wound. This final part is about recognizing the soul, the deep story hiding underneath everyone you meet. Truth number 13. No one speaks from logic. They speak from pain. You might think people are rational, that they argue based on facts. But Nietzsche believed differently. Underneath every logical argument is an emotional wound that never healed. A person might say, I don't believe in love. It's just a fantasy. But they not stating a fact. They protecting themselves from pain. People form their views based on what hurt them, then justify those views with logic afterward. So when you want to understand someone, his worldview, you just ask what they believe. Ask what broke them. Ask what scared them. Ask what they never want to feel again. This changes everything. It shifts your focus from, why are they saying this, to, what are they afraid of repeating? Suddenly, their opinions aren't threats. They defenses. Their arguments aren't attacks. They shields. Truth number 14. How someone reacts to weakness reveals their true power. Want to see someone's character? To watch how they treat powerful people. Watch how they treat someone who can fight back. Real strength proven through domination. It is revealed through restraint. If someone mocks vulnerability, they afraid of their own. If someone punishes mistakes harshly, they likely weren't allowed to make any growing up. But the person who can witness weakness without judgment, who can sit with sadness without running away, who can forgive what they could have punished, that is someone no longer ruled by their past. Give them a moment where compassion is an option. What they do will show you who they really are, not who they pretend to be. Truth number 15. When someone fears being forgotten, they chase attention. Ever met someone who always needs to be seen? Every room they enter, every story they tell screams, "Notice me." At first glance, it looks like confidence, but Nietzsche saw through it. The hunger for attention often comes from a deeper fear, the fear of being invisible, of being erased, of living and dying without leaving a mark. People create noise, not because they love attention, but because they can bear the silence. The child who is ignored becomes the adult who overcompensates. Instead of asking for love directly, they demand it through performance, drama, or chaos. When you see someone who seems like too much, don't judge. Ask what they are afraid will happen if they read not enough. Sometimes attention-seeking isn't vanity. It's a cry for help. Truth number 16. The person they attack is often the person they envy. One of Nietzsche's boldest truths. People don't always attack because they hate. They often attack because they admire, but feel they can never be like that person. Criticism is easier than admiration. It's easier to tear someone down than build yourself up. The person who tears down someone successful, who mocks someone confident, who gossips about someone free, they not just being mean, they in pain. To see someone embody a part of you that you abandoned is to be reminded of what they lost. Envy is just unspoken desire. It's the soul saying, I want that too, but I don't believe I'm allowed to have it. Truth number 17. People act out their childhood, not their beliefs. They heard people don't to change. But Nietzsche would say, people repeat. They repeat the roles they were forced to play, the fears they were taught to carry, the dynamics they never escaped. A person who was never heard as a child becomes someone who never listens as an adult. A person who is punished for expressing emotions becomes cold and detached. A person who had to earn love becomes someone who performs for affection. They think they reacting from their beliefs, but really, they just reenacting the past. If you want to read someone deeply, don't just look at who they are now. Ask who they had to be growing up. Because behavior is just biography. Behind every adult is a child still waiting to feel safe. Truth number 18. Their patterns are a confession. This is the final truth. And it changes everything. People don't always know how to express what hurts them. But it'll show you through patterns. A person who ghosts when things get close. A person who overworks to avoid stillness. A person who flirts with everyone but connects with no one. These aren't random behaviors. They read confessions. They re-saying, this is how I protect myself. They re-saying, this is where I was hurt. They re-saying, this is what I fear repeating. If you learn to listen deeply, not to words but to patterns, you can hear the truth before it is spoken. And when you do, something amazing happens. You stop personalizing. You stop judging. You start understanding. You become a mirror, not a weapon. You become someone who sees clearly and still chooses grace. You're not just reading people anymore. You remembering yourself. Every truth we explored wasn't just about other people. It was about you, your own patterns, your own fears, your own childhood scripts. Because the more clearly you see others, the more clearly you see yourself. This isn't to the end of the journey. It's the beginning of a new way of seeing. Nietzsche didn't just want us to observe others. He wanted us to awaken to ourselves. To know that everything we judge in others is something we carry within ourselves. That everything we admire in others is something we long to embody. When you develop this ability to see through masks and read the soul behind the behavior, you gain something far more valuable than the ability to manipulate others. You gain the power to understand, to empathize, and to connect with people on a level most people never experience. This understanding doesn't make you cynical. It makes you compassionate. When you can see that someone's criticism comes from their own pain, when you can see that someone's arrogance comes from their own guilt, when you can see that someone's attention-seeking comes from their own fear of being forgotten, you stop taking their behavior personally. You start responding to the real person underneath the mask, not just the mask itself. And that is when real connection becomes possible. That is when healing can begin, both for them and for you. This is the ultimate gift of Nietzsche as 18 truths. They don't just help you read other people. They help you read yourself. They help you understand your own patterns, your own fears, your own childhood wounds that still influence your adult behavior. And in that understanding, you find the power to choose differently, to respond instead of react, to see instead of judge, to connect instead of compete. This is what it means to be truly awake in a world of sleeping souls. This is what it means to see clearly in a world of masks and pretending. Comment with just one word that describes the biggest mask you wear. Let us see how honest we can be. If you found this video useful, please like it and subscribe to the channel. There are more videos on this channel that will help you become a better version of yourself.